Our next game of the week takes us out to the beautiful city of Las Vegas, Nevada, in Allegiant Stadium, where the Fresno State Bulldogs go on the road to take on the UNLV Rebels. This is a 3:30 kickoff on Fox Sports 1. And I guess the producer in the back decided to keep Tennessee by 7 up there. So that is not the right spread on this game. But nonetheless, I'm sure Brad will mention it in his pick. I'll let you speak about the spread. But this is a big matchup for these two. I mean, these are two programs on the outside looking in when it comes to playoff contentions heading into the 2024 season. And now they've got a shot. This is their chance to shine underneath the bright lights of Las Vegas. And you have to think whoever comes out on top in this one, like I mentioned, has a really good chance up there with Boise State to have a shot, like I said, to get into the playoffs. Brad, I'll turn it over to you. Thoughts on this Mountain West matchup, and with conference realignment coming up, these two teams might not be playing each other much longer.
Yeah, that's absolutely a really good point. So UNLV is favored at home by 4 in this one. Two really two good programs right now in the Mountain West. You mentioned these two teams are probably right up there with Boise State as kind of the favorites. For Fresno State, they're just a program that's just a mile of consistency. Of course, they lost to Michigan week 1, but were competitive for really 3 quarters with them, and they've taken care of business in their other 3. They're led by quarterback Mikey Keene. He transferred from UCF, and he's just kind of doing his thing. Guys, one interesting note, though, for me is 6 touchdowns but 4 picks. I think he's been a little bit more careless with the football this year, and that's something that he's definitely going to have to watch out to. And they've got a really dynamic 1-2 punch at receiver. Mac Delina and Jalen Moss are a really good 1-2 punch. Those two have combined for over 600 yards, 33 catches. I mean, just a really nice 1-2 punch there for Mikey Keene. I want to focus, though, on UNLV, and I'll go ahead. UNLV is my pick for this one. I think they beat the spread, but I'm really impressed with the job that Barry Odom has done there in Las Vegas. He's just got this team running. We've talked about this guy. Matthew Sluka is just one of the most fun players in the country. This guy can get it done with his arm. He can get it done with his legs. Guys, this is interesting to me. 4 players already for UNLV with at least 100 yards rushing. So you can't key on one guy. This is a very unique offense. And my last takeaway before I turn over to you guys, if your team is looking for an up-and-coming offensive coordinator, I encourage you to watch this game because UNLV has got a young offensive coordinator in Brennan Marion, who I don't think he's going to be in Vegas after this year. He's going to get a big-time coaching job. He has been in a lot of different programs. He's run a lot of different systems. They're running this really fun, almost like a triple option offense from the shotgun. It's just really fun. He's so dynamic. So if you know that your team is going to be searching for an offensive coordinator, hey, he may even get some head coaching opportunities, but taking the Rebels in this one, I think their running game is just too much, and I think they beat the spread in this one.
Yeah, Brad, you bring up a lot of great points, and one thing you mentioned about the offensive coordinator, I think it's very possible that he does stay in Vegas because I think Barry Odom could be on his way out to getting a bigger job, and maybe that opens the door for a guy like Marion to stay in Vegas and become UNLV's new head coach. So we don't know what's going to happen, but that's always a possibility as well. Rooster, I'll turn over to you. Who wins this Mountain West matchup?
Well, we know the UNLV has already won a couple of close games this season against some superior competition,
Sure.
beating Kansas on the road.
Sure.
And they're coming off of a bye week. They've had time to rest up. Their running game is just absolutely phenomenal. But I want to touch on one thing I may be overlooking in this game, the 3:30 kickoff. UNLV has already been able to play a couple road games against Kansas and other teams closer to the East Coast. They're more used to the earlier time games.
Sure.
However, Fresno State is used to these 7:30, 10:30 Eastern kickoffs. So UNLV is already going to be up. They've already going to have their filet mignon, their potatoes. They're already going to be fed. These Fresno State guys may be getting out of the bed having to grab a Lucky Charms cereal bar on the way to the door because they just slept through their alarm.
Sure.
So I think I think the Fresno State, they also have not had a very impressive schedule this season at all. They gave up 30 to Sacramento State. That's yikes. So I'm going to take UNLV coming off the bye in this one. I think they're going to get it done pretty handily.
Yeah, y'all mentioned a lot of great points. One thing that I noticed when I was doing my research was, to your point, Brad, Sluka is one of those guys where he uses his feet a lot. And Fresno State's going to have to stop that. I don't know if they have the defensive capability to do that. When you look at a team like UNLV, they can beat you in multiple ways. They can shut you down with their defense, or they can sling it around and run it with their offense. And that's hard to stop. When you win 2 of the 3 phases in a football game, I've said this time and time again, said it to you, said it to Rooster, you're going to win ball games. That's how BYU won last week against Kansas State. Everyone wants to talk about how poorly Kansas State played. And that's great. But at the end of the day, BYU didn't beat themselves. So is Fresno State going to beat themselves, or is UNLV going to beat themselves? So I want to mention real quick, because y'all both talked about the run game. But I think a lot of people forget about this guy for UNLV. Wide receiver Ricky White, the third, coming over a transfer, I believe, from Michigan, if I have that correct, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. But this is a very, very dynamic guy, spread out, and he's the number 1 target for Sluka at quarterback. He's caught 10 catches for 125 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's pretty dang good. 3 touchdowns on 10 catches. You got to be happy with that. And I think that's going to play a role in this game too. Look for Ricky White the third to get out in space. They got home field advantage. They're going to be able to communicate. They got the home crowd on their side. They're playing in Vegas. All their chips are on the table, so to speak. But credit to Fresno State. They've been a great program year in and year out, but this year they've just kind of been under the radar. You mentioned Mikey Keene. We really liked him when he was coming from UCF, Brad, a year ago, and we really thought highly of him. We thought he was going to do a better job, but he just hasn't panned out. So as much as we like Fresno State, give me the UNLV Rebels in a close one. I think they win it 33-28. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think UNLV pushes out at the end in the fourth quarter. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to win this Mountain West matchup, and be sure to subscribe down below.